Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and I honestly cannot even begin to stress my excitement about the fact that I finally have a Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur series figure here. We have one of the gray Tyrannosaurus Rex figures here. This is the 1/35th scale version. Basically what these are unpainted figures that you can paint up yourself, and I've already got a paint scheme in mind for mine, so I can't wait to break it out of the box and get it painted up. As far as the box art goes, you can see it basically looks like what you would expect when it comes to a really nice, very high quality Beasts of the Mesozoic box. We've got a nice image of the Rex right here, the Beasts of the Mesozoic logo up there at the top, and Tyrannosaurus Rex gray down at the bottom, but you can also see we have the 1/35th scale right there telling us what scale this is. And as you move along the box, you've again got another image here of the Rex, but I like how the image of the Rex from the front kind of just continues on over here. And then if we turn it around, actually over here you can just see is basically like the window area a little bit. But here on the back, you again have some more images of the Rex figure itself, everything that's included with it, as well as some information on the T-Rex and the figure itself. So I'm very, very excited to get a look finally at one of these figures in person. So let's pop this out of the box right now. So as always with the Beasts of the Mesozoic, you've got some instructions here included to kind of give you an idea of, how to connect the tail and, loosen joints up and things like that. Basically everything that you're going to need to know about your Tyrannosaurus Rex is included in these instructions, so definitely something to read up on. Very important stuff, actually. Then we've got ourselves the base that our Rex can stand up on, which also looks really nice. We've also got some interchangeable legs, which is pretty fun to have, and these legs come with feet completely attached to them. There's no articulation with the ankles or anything on these legs, so if you would prefer to have your Rex in more of like a less articulated type of a view, then these are probably the way to go. You also have interchangeable feet, though, for the legs that are currently on our Rex. This one you can see is kind of like a walking pose, and you've got one for each foot, so you can decide which foot you want to have in that position. So that's really neat. And you also have these interchangeable feet as well, and you can see these ones, the difference between this foot here and the feet that are on the Rex currently. As you can see, it's just basically a flat standing foot type of a look, but the toes are much closer together, whereas the feet on the Rex currently are open, so you can see that the toes are open further, which is not the way that the other toes look. But there's our Rex itself now. I've got the tail connected, which of course, took a little bit of warm water to get that one on there, as you usually do when it comes to the Beasts of the Mesozoic figures. But boy, oh boy, is that ever a beautiful looking T-Rex figure. Like, that is absolutely gorgeous looking as a whole, and definitely a really, really nice looking sculpt. I'm really excited to check this one out, get a look at the sculpt up close and the articulation and everything. So let's go ahead and jump straight to a closer look at this beautiful Tyrannosaurus Rex right now. So I normally take a look at figures after I paint them when it comes to closer looks, but since this one has such a really nice, appealing looking gray color to it, I can still look at the figure up close and it doesn't kind of drown the detail out or anything like that, which is a plus for these gray Rexes. But you can see as we look up here at the head sculpt, it is overloaded with incredible detail. You can see that there is just detail for days on this T-Rex. Gorgeous looking skin texture and scale detail here running along the lower jaw down into the throat. You've got like a lot of hanging skin and stuff down here in the throat, as well as skin wrinkles all through the entire lower jaw down into the throat and neck region. You've also got lots of really nice scale detail here to the upper part of the head of the Rex. Leading up here, you can see some larger scales, but then they become fine as you lead down toward the lip area. You've got the nostrils sculpted out right there, even finer scaling in the palate area. Lots of kind of wrinkling and creasing in the eye socket, which looks really good. Again, more varying scales as we move along. You've got the ear of our Rex right there, very nicely sculpted. And of course, we have an articulated jaw, so we can get a look at the inside of the mouth. You've got a tongue sculpted out very nicely in there, and some fantastic looking detail there on the inside of the mouth, which looks really, really good. You've also got some nice detail on the skin flap right there of the inside of the mouth, and you can definitely pick out the teeth of our Rex. They look really good on both the upper and lower jaw. which is definitely a good thing. And then, of course, we can close the jaw. Oh, it's popping back open a little bit. I'm not sure if that's just because I haven't worn it in yet, but you can see it's starting to open up a little bit again after I close it. I don't know if that's something that's going to continue to happen, or if that's, oh no, see, now it's kind of closing. Oh, it's popping open a little bit. We'll have to see as time goes on if that's an issue, but if you look up here at the top of the head, again, more kind of skin wrinkles and stuff, more really nice scale detail. As you move down the course of the neck, you've got more skin wrinkles and stuff, and lots of skin creasing as you move down the neck, as well as some more really, really beautiful scale detail. But man, that skin texture is honestly amazing. There's just so much movement shown in the neck region of this T-Rex. As you move down a little bit further, you can kind of make out the shoulder blade there protruding from the skin a little bit. And you've also got those really nice Rex arms. You've got some nice muscle definition sculpted in those very small arms, as well as some really, really nice articulation. Look at how smooth that is. Very, very, it actually goes out away from the body as well. Very nice ball joint added to that area for the articulation. And then moving back into the stomach region, again, a plethora of skin wrinkles and all kinds of really nice skin detail in the lower part of the stomach of the Rex. And you can see how incredible it looks throughout the entire figure when it comes to the very fine scale detail. Look at that. That is phenomenal. And then as you move back, you can kind of make out, if my camera would focus on it, you can make out the hip bone a little bit right there. More nice muscle definition down in the thigh, down into the calf. Very big bulging calf muscle, but more nice skin creasing and everything there, and movement in the leg as you move down. And then you've got some more really nice detail moving down the front of the shin, down into the foot. Again, you can see the toes are spread apart pretty far on this foot sculpt that we have currently on, but they look great, very, very bird-like, and the nails as well look really nice. And of course, you can see we have dew claws and everything for the Rex. And then as you lead up, you can see we've got more skin wrinkles and creases and stuff as you move out here into the tail, and we continue to have more scale detail as we lead out to that tip. And of course, you're not going to see any difference between the one side and the other side when it comes to the sculpt, because it's a fully posable figure and it's an unpainted figure, so it'd really be up to you to kind of position it differently from one side to another. As far as the articulation goes, again, we have the articulated jaw. We also have articulation right here, right at the back of the head, to kind of move the Rex around a little bit. You have articulation here in the neck region, in the lower part of the neck, kind of move the Rex around again a little bit. And then you've also got two joints here, one here and one in the elbow, again for very smooth articulation. Like I said, it can move out away from the body as well. And then you've got an area in the midsection here, just like you see in the ceratopsians and raptors. You also have the hip region, which is a little bit stiff currently, as well as the knee, which is also a little bit stiff. And then moving down, you've got two areas here, again to kind of lean the foot forward as well as maneuver the ankle and everything. And then you also have an area of articulation right here, which can go up, down, left, right. Same deal right here, all over the place. And then another one right here. And then the final little bit of the tail is a wire tail. So lots of articulation. I'm actually not sure if the tongue articulates. You can see it back there. It looks like potentially it does. So the tongue definitely articulates a little bit. I kind of got a screwdriver in there to move it around because my fingers don't quite fit. You can see the tongue is moving back and forth. So lots of articulation with the Rex. That part is definitely very, very fun. And then you can see the different sculpted feet, which also look incredible. Again, totally different positioning for each of the different feet to continue to allow you to pose your Rex however you would like. We also have the legs, again, that are already just kind of in like a solid position with no articulation in it to kind of replace the legs out if you choose to. And you can see those as well look great sculpt-wise. And again, the pose is kind of with the toes spread apart, just like we saw in the original feet that were on the Rex, the ones that are on currently. And then we have ourselves the base as well. So the base looks pretty darn awesome. Very, very nice kind of rocky, earthy area. And you've got pegs for the Rex to stand on. So I'm going to go ahead and get that painted up, of course, with our Rex to see how cool it looks. But definitely one insanely awesome looking T-Rex. And this has me so psyched for all the other different species coming in the Tyrannosaur series. And then, of course, if you would like to switch out your legs, you basically have to just pull the leg off. And then you could take, let me find the correct leg, there we go. And you take the other leg here, you just push that up into the spot. If I can find it, there it is. We push that in, snap it into the spot. And now you've got the Rex with kind of a leg that has a lot less articulation moving down throughout, which maybe is like the leg that you would like to use to have it stable, and then maybe the other leg running, something like that. that's really your call, how you want to use those interchangeable legs. But then on top of that, you also have the ability to remove the foot as well to kind of apply the different feet that they give you here for your Rex. And you can again see how cool it looks once you actually place the other foot on. Now we have the toes much more closed than we had originally. And then you also have the other foot where it's kind of like running or taking a step. You could see how you would position this maybe to make it look, oh, I just popped it off because I didn't have it on all the way, but to make it look like the Rex is, leaving the ground, the foot's kind of taking a step, the toes are about to leave the ground. So lots of really cool options as far as that goes. And I also wanted to show off this fact that the Rex can stand freely on its own, which is always a great thing. You, of course, do have a base with pegs to put the Rex onto, but as you can see, you clearly don't necessarily need the base as the Rex is standing completely freely, completely independently on its own, which is also really quite awesome about this figure. But I'm going to go ahead, get this painted up right now so we can see how cool it looks with actual coloration on it. And then we've got our Rex painted up now, looking pretty cool, definitely. Looks awesome once you actually add some paint application to it, and I was actually pretty happy with the result, and definitely really enjoying this Rex. Again, it's so much fun having the ability to paint it yourself and come up with any type of coloration or paint scheme you choose to. I kind of went with a obviously kind of like a prehistoric planet style paint scheme to it, and I think again it turned out pretty nice. And the sculpt itself, you can see how beautiful it actually turns out once it has some paint application added to it. It is just an entirely different figure. Even though it looks incredible with the grayish coloration that it does come in, it just looks so much cooler again once you add some paint application to it and just give your Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur series 1/35th scale T-Rex some life. I really am quite happy with this. And then I also painted up the base as well, and you can see how cool it looks now with some paint application on it, and again, just giving it some life that previously it didn't really have, because without some coloration on it, it's just not as awesome as it is once you actually add some color to it and kind of bring it to life. And again, that's kind of half the fun of this type of thing. So really awesome base. You can see how highly detailed it is and how beautiful it is. And again, it just comes to life so perfectly once you add some paint application to it. So let's go ahead and grab a size for this. So as far as a size goes for the position that the Rex is currently standing in, actually, you know what? I'm going to turn it around and do it the opposite way because I just feel like it's a little easier to go from the tail up here to the snout. So you are looking at about the 14.5-inch range, or around 36.5 centimeters, closing in at 37. So definitely some pretty good length for it, even at 1/35th scale. And height-wise, again, in the more upright position that it's kind of standing in, about 6 inches or 15, closing in on 15.5 centimeters, but not really quite there. So even though it is the smaller of the two Tyrannosaurus Rex figures in the Beasts of the Mesozoic line, it's definitely still got some pretty good size. To show you that for a size comparison, we've got an adorable Papo T-Rex there cuddling with our Beasts of the Mesozoic T-Rex, and you can also see that we have the Attack Pack Colovosaurus and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line here standing in for a comparison to, again, show you how good this size is on this one. Really a perfect size for anybody that has a collection that's kind of overflowing and doesn't have as much room as they, maybe would like to for something like the larger 1/18th scale version. But this, again, is just an absolutely awesome size range for this Rex. But for another comparison, there is the Beasts of the Mesozoic Zuniceratops next to our 1/35th scale T-Rex. So definitely one of the most popular, I would say, of the Ceratopsian series was the Zuniceratops. So it's one that I try to use often. I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that the price was a good bit lower than most because the size is smaller. But again, it is a popular species from the line, so a pretty good one, I thought, for a comparison. And then for a very interesting comparison, we've got the Beasts of the Mesozoic Cyberzoic Triceratops, the steel horn version here, next to our T-Rex. So you can really see there is a massive size difference between these two figures, although I think the other size variant of this Rex will definitely help to stand in at some point when it releases and give us a more reasonable comparison next to this Triceratops. But the larger version of the Rex, as far as the unpainted gray versions, I do believe is something you can pre-order currently. but the actual painted version won't be out for a little while yet. So still really cool again, though, to see the beasts of the Mesozoic T-Rex and Triceratops here next to each other, even if they are not to scale. And then for another comparison, we have PNSO's Wilson here next to the beasts of the Mesozoic T-Rex, and you can definitely see that these two are a very similar size, not too far off at all. So if you happen to have Wilson, then you definitely should have a pretty good idea of the size of this particular version of the Tyrannosaur series T-Rex. But for another comparison, we've got ourselves Rebor's Kiss next to the beasts of the Mesozoic again, 1/35th scale variant of the gray T-Rex. So you can definitely see that the Kiss figure is a bit larger, a bit bulkier, but it's obviously not in the same scale as the Tyrannosaur Series 1 here to our right. But again, it is pretty cool to see two different Tyrannosaur models with lips. That's definitely awesome to see. So this brand new Beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaur Series Gray Unpainted T-Rex is absolutely phenomenal. Definitely another amazing release from them, and I'm so beyond excited to actually have a Tyrannosaur Series figure here to take a look at and to continue to get me hyped for all of the other upcoming releases, as there are so many amazing species coming out in that series that I am just dying to get my hands on, and can't wait for them to arrive as they begin to ship and everything in hopefully the next month or two. I think the first wave of the Tyrannosaur series will be shipping, but I believe this Gray Rex should be available sooner. I could be mistaken on that. That may be incorrect, but I think that one should be actually available pretty soon. Or this one, I should say, since it's the figure we're looking at here. But again, it is amazing to have a Tyrannosaur series figure here finally with us, and it is an absolutely gorgeous looking sculpt with just detail for days. Some of the nicest detailing I've honestly ever seen, especially when you look at the insane amounts of skin detail throughout. There's just so many very small skin wrinkles and creases and everything that just look phenomenal and really bring this Rex to life. But overall, the entire sculpt is just as highly detailed, or maybe even more highly detailed than any other Beasts of the Mesozoic figure I've ever had the pleasure of adding to my collection. And then again, the fact that it is that grayish coloration when you originally receive it is really fun, because you can keep it that way if you choose to, and you can have the unpainted version, or you can go the route that I did and paint it up yourself. And I had such a blast painting this up, and I'm so happy with the results, and that really blows my mind because I'm not normally too happy with my paint jobs, although the last few I think I've done an okay job on the last few things I've painted up. But this Rex might be my favorite paint job I've ever done. It just looks really nice on this T-Rex, and it's a beautiful color scheme that they had chosen for the Prehistoric Planet version that I felt like would look good on this version. And even though the appearance to this Rex isn't exactly the same as the Prehistoric Planet version, it looks pretty similar overall, so I felt like it was a nice choice to go with that type of a coloration for the Rex. And again, I'm so happy with the result of this, but a lot of that is probably due to how good the sculpt here is from this Tyrannosaur series release. But on top of having a blast painting the figure and just adoring the sculpt and how highly detailed it is, it also has some really fun articulation. And again, I love the fact that you can kind of change out the legs, so you can have the more stagnant legs with less seams for the articulation, or you can have the more articulated legs. It's really up to you. And again, I like that you can also switch out the feet for different styles of feet, and you have, again, so much possibility as far as posability for this, because you do have quite a bit of articulation running through the entire figure that works really quite nicely. And on top of that, the Rex can stand on its own, which is incredible, but you don't even need it to, because you also have a base, and the base looks great. It has some pegs that you can slide the Rex onto so that you can position it on there, and again, display your Rex on that really cool earthy area that is given to you, or you can of course display it without the base. It's really your call, but the base is just as beautiful as the T-Rex is when it comes to the amount of fine detail. You can see just so much incredible detail. Just looking at the rock formations and everything, there is just a lot of really fine detail that makes the base a blast to paint up as well. So unquestionably, this is a must-have if you ask me. Whether you go for this scale or the larger scale, no matter what, it's an amazing release and definitely worth picking up. So I will include a link in the description to where you can do that on the Creative Beast Studio website. So make sure you check that link, grab this gray T-Rex before it sells out, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.